Hi, this is Lindsay Muller, and for my sharing video this week, I'm going to talk about DOM. This is what I did my teaching presentation on this week, and it's the first I've ever even looked into it, so it's probably a little elementary, but I thought just this basic stuff that I could do, that I figured out how to do, is pretty neat. So first, we'll just look at these two examples that I've been playing around with. And then I'll show my code for them. So this first one's pretty simple, and it comes from the W3 Schools website. So both of these paragraphs are strings of text. They're separate paragraphs, and we can change the text of one of them by clicking the button, and then that's all it does. So this will change, I think, the first. Yeah, so there we change the text. But you'll notice that if we click it again, nothing happens. So it's just that initial change. But this second example, I think it's a little bit cooler. So every time you click this add button, it's going to add an element. So there you can see it's adding multiple elements. And in case you didn't know, the poem by Dr. Seuss, there's a link to it here that I'll include in the comments as well, just for fun. One of my favorite Dr. Seuss stories, just a short poem. And then you can also remove elements. I haven't figured that part out yet. Right now when I click it, the button just disappears. That's obviously not right. But the add button works, and then you'll notice that when I refresh the page, everything goes back to how it was originally. So all those elements disappeared. Even this up here went back to how it was. So that's pretty basic, but that's what it is. And the code for them is actually pretty simple too. So the first one, let's see. So this is all it is, just this code right here. Let's see. So two paragraph tags, and then the button, and then the function of the button. And I should probably separate out all my JavaScript, but for now it's all just in this one page so that you can see everything. And this function is working like this. So it's getting the element to change based on the class name. So here I use the class name of test. And then, sorry, I lost my train of thought. So it's getting the element based on the class name. But you could probably, well, not probably, you could do it a more conventional way and get the element by the ID and then just use the P for the paragraph. But you could also do it by tag name, or there's a few other choices. So here I just got it by the class name, so you can see test and then P class equals test. And then this was interesting to me because there's two elements with the same class name. I had to specify which one with this array index. So 0 is obviously going to change the first element, which is what it's currently doing. But if I change it to 1, and then save it and re-upload it, and then if we refresh this page, so if you remember, it was originally changing this text, but now since we changed that array index, it's going to change that second text. And then one thing that I did figure out the hard way, not that it was that hard, but if you don't specify the index, then rather than changing both, it will just do nothing. So you have to specify what element you want it to change. So that was it for that first one. It was fairly simple or straightforward. And the second one's simple as well. You'll see there's still not a whole lot of code involved. So yeah, it all fits on the screen right there. So there's the paragraph and the button, and then my function for when the button is pressed. And the way that that works is that, so I declared a variable of P. I just left it as P so I knew what element I was working with. And then use this create element of P to make a new element, but that could be anything. You could create a div or whatever. So that's really all this first part is doing, is just giving you those P tags. Then the next line, the P dot text content, is just setting the content you want in that element that you just created. So mine says, Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave. So it's just setting that equal to Dave, so we could make 23 Daves. And one thing I didn't do, because I haven't done any CSS for this yet, obviously, but there's a set attribute here that you could have included next, and then included a class name so that whatever element you're adding will be styled just like all your other elements with that attribute. So that's one thing I should add. So then the final line here is just appending the new element to the body of the page. So it's making a child element of the body. And then that's pretty much it. I guess I could also add that DOM stands for Document Object Model, which is just a way of manipulating the HTML elements. And W3 Schools had a cool little chart that showed how you would access each of those elements. I think they called it like the tree structure or something. So that's why in the second example I showed we could append the paragraphs to the body, was through that tree structure. Anyway, and then you'll see here, this was me trying to figure out the remove. That's still not working. So it's really just these few lines of code. That's all it is to make these things move around to add elements or whatever. Anyway, I hope that was somewhat helpful. And if anybody knows how to do the remove, I would love to hear it, or I'll just keep working on it. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.